Y'all see the description. Floyd Mayweather, to the public, as far as, people who tapped in on the new, situation with him and Manny Pacquiao, you know what I mean? They feel like Floyd confused, you know what I mean? Like Netflix and the people who make money off the fight by promoting it feel that it's a fight. He feels it's an exhibition. You know what I mean? You know, historically, boxers has always had financial problems and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about like from back in the day, from Pernell Whitaker to Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. Shit, like all the legends, predominantly all the legends, even George Foreman. Like, that's how he bounced back with the Foreman grill and shit. But like, you know what I mean? Historically, like boxers is always not have done the best with their finances as far as on spending and saving and shit like that. So what we're hearing about Floyd is really nothing new. It's just people talking about it because when one thing that all the other fighters did though, like they might have bought material shit and done things and probably didn't file their taxes, and that's what really put them in a hole because they spent the money already. But like when you Floyd and you know everything about you is really about money as far as how you base your lifestyle, your career, your moves, everything you do. You know, you're going to have people waiting, not only for you to lose to break that 50-0 record, but waiting on you to fall financially. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like some people say, man, when you made money like him, you basically got all the money in the world, but just because you made that much money, that don't mean you got to abuse it though. Like a $18 million watch type shit, 1.5 million on this watch, or a $4 million car. Like, everybody know he don't hide his lifestyle. Like, you know what I mean? He put it all on the net for us to see, you know what I mean, daily. You know what I mean? All on private jets, 1.2 million or whatever. What's up, family? Count money on jets, you know what I mean? Like constantly flossing and shit like that. So when you always throwing what you got in the public face and all of that shit, like when you start heading downhill and shit start like looking ugly for you, people gonna pay attention to you. Vicky Harvey, 1420. What's up, family? Hit that like button. But like when you start having like issues and shit financially, like jewelers and people coming out the woodwork saying you ain't paid them yet. And this is understandable too. Like when you got like, when you dealing with like millions and millions and millions of dollars, like you ain't always cashing out on everything. So it is possible sometimes for you to forget to pay certain shit. Like, you know what I mean? Whether it's a car note, a house, or certain shit, but you're supposed to have people around you who helps you keep up with that type shit or whatever. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, you know what I mean, instead of just jumping on the negative side of shit, sometimes, you know what I mean, I would try to give a person the benefit of the doubt and be like, hey, you know what I mean, the dude probably got like 1 million bills type shit. So maybe he just forgot to pay. You know what I mean? But when you spend money at a fast rate like Mayweather, like I say, when you start having or hearing he's having financial issues, And I'm gonna keep it real. Like anybody through boxing history, period, from Mike Tyson, anybody, boxing is a brutal sport, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a team sport as far as your coaching people around you. But when you go in that ring, you going solo. Yeah, you got your coach and everybody around you shouting, hey, do this, duck this, throw it left, back up. You know what I mean? Defense, put your arms up and all that shit. You know what I mean? But if you like 48, 49, 50 years old, whatever, and you coming back to either box or do exhibitions, I guess Floyd like to use that word because it sounds better. You ain't really doing no shit like that for fun. Like, it's got to be financial. I appreciate you. Exactly. It's got to be some type of financial issue. Like what 48, 49-year-old, 50-year-old man wanna possibly risk tarnishing they boxing reputation as far as getting tapped on the chin and knocked out type shit. You know what I mean? Even in the exhibition, you can still possibly get your ass whooped. You know what I mean? So the only way you see a person who 48, 49 years old, 50 in the boxing world fighting because they need the money. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell us all type of stories until we fucking gray in the face. But like I said, who wants to be fighting at 48, 49 years old? You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure when he was 25 or 28, he wanted to be like retired, really retired, not even doing exhibitions and shit like that. You know what I mean? But he justifies doing exhibitions by saying, well, I get a 10-figure paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, basically him saying like, I get to make millions just easy. And you know what I mean? But Floyd has a history of not being able to read and shit. You know what I mean? And 50 Cent definitely put that shit out there when he asked him about donating to a charity if he could read a whole Harry Potter book in front of fucking all of us or some shit, at least 1 or 2 pages. I don't even think he said the whole book, because he was basically exposing that Floyd is illiterate and he got people around him, which is a lot of people with money got handlers and shit around them. You know what I mean? Me personally, Floyd is like, I say like he definitely in the top 10 as far as boxers or whatever. And some people say, what the fuck you mean? He top 5. But I don't base shit off record. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to base shit off principles and heart, and like everything ain't always about a 50-0 type record. You know what I mean? But like I say, people say Floyd can't read. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard audio of him struggling to read. You know what I mean? But when you got a reading problem, you know what I mean? Like, do you really know what you signing? Do you even read the contracts, or you have a lawyer reading and you really go off the word of what this lawyer's saying? You know what I mean? So it seemed like it's a little bit of confusion there. You know what I mean? And then we all know Floyd don't really want to fuck up his 50-0 record. You know what I mean? Because to him, that shit is a big deal. But to a lot of other people who love boxing and enjoy boxing like me, who've watched that shit for years, you having a 50-0 record don't make you the best ever. You know what I mean? Especially when you say when people say, you know, you duck fights and you ducked the damn Pacquiao first fight till y'all damn near was fucking 40,000 years old type shit. So Floyd got a lot on his plate. He created a lot of bills, and you don't really realize how many bills you really created and how outrageous your bills is until you really start falling behind and you got to play catch up type shit. And that's why everybody feel like he's at a level where he's trying to rob Peter to pay Paul type shit. Like, you know what I mean? There was already, you know, Javante Tank Davis threw it up in the air that when he had the little incident in Dubai, was saying that the reason he was stuck over there because he owed money. He had to clear a debt. You know what I mean? He was trying to say it was for the storm and all that shit or whatever, and shit that was going on over in Dubai at the time. But, you know what I mean? Some jewelers and certain people, you know what I mean, been kind of exposing that he been having financial problems. You know what I mean? And his broke is not the same broke as us normal people. You know what I mean? Like, his broke meaning like he still could go in the jewelry store and a dumbass jeweler still give him a Patek or order, you know what I mean? Or a Patek, or I mean, you know what I mean? Or just anything, because of Floyd wearing it is like promotion. You know what I mean? Even if he didn't pay you, you know what I mean? So, like I say, when you going through financial situations and shit like that, bills that you try to put under welcome home rug, all of a sudden everything just starts slowly leaking and appearing out. You know what I mean? To the point where the shit is stacking up so high on your front porch, you can't even get in your door. You got to go around back, and then you can't even get in because you got so much shit stacked up in the crib that's against you. And it don't help out when you got like over 100 cars. I think he said he had 2 private planes. Maybe he got one. I don't know if he said he sold one. And it's just like the outrageous spending. You know what I mean? It's like if you spend money like that, I mean, I can't even say Warren Buffett and all of them. I can't count their pockets, but like they not even really doing like no outrageous ass spending like that. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure they're a lot more liquid than him. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, man, people really let the gram and social media destroy them as far as trying to cap and live for the gram. You know what I mean? You trying to cap and live it up for the gram, showing you taking trips and, you know what I mean, racks all out on the table on a private jet and all that shit. Like, at some point, it's going to bite you in the ass. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when you young and shit, you growing up, I'm pretty sure when you Floyd, this is shit that you dreamed about, like the way you living, you know what I mean? Because let's be real, Floyd didn't, you know what I mean? Floyd come from humble beginnings, like, you know what I mean? He wasn't always in the situation he's in, like, you know what I mean? He was basically in a real nigga situation, you know what I mean? Yeah, his father and Roger Mayweather and all of them was a part of the fight game, but that don't mean you pulling in hella fight money type shit, you know what I mean? You might be living as far as maintaining and shit like that, but like if you ain't like a real household name, then you just basically getting by with the scraps of the fight game and shit like that. But as far as boxing, I think Floyd is like really the only one who's like a real major success financially as far as money and wins and losses and shit like that or whatever. He ain't never lost, but you know. But when you love money and everything is about money, you know what I mean? You got to know at some point some shit gonna crash, you know what I mean? Because you're making money your number one priority. Like that's more important than anything. You know what I mean? Like you buying 20, 30 Birkin bags, you know what I mean? Just unnecessary shit. You got women here, women there, you know what I mean? Who knows? Dudes be having like condos and cribs and shit like that in different states and different places, you know what I mean? So like I said, you never really realize how many bills you got until the money slow up. You know what I mean? When the money slow up, then you gotta, you know what I mean, figure out how you gonna recoup and recover and shit like that. You know what I mean? You kind of look like little Javar 683. You kind of look like step cousin of Debo. That's a compliment. I appreciate you, family. I thank you. My boy said that's a compliment. Hit that like button for me. I appreciate you, family. Javari Rios 6083. That's crazy. You see that shit right there? But that say Rio. That's my nickname. He came from the bottom. You know what I mean? Like worked his way all the way up from Pretty Boy Floyd to Money Made. You know what I mean? Like a lot of fighters, truth be told, I'm not saying all of them, but like a lot of them really do be illiterate. It's kind of like, you know, that entertainment world, a lot of people just have a passion for whatever it is they're doing, whether it's boxing, acting, a lot of them, you know what I mean? That's how they look at it. It's kind of like they look at themselves as a purist. Like, yes, I got in this shit for the money in my younger years, but now that I'm in it, you know how you'll hear some people who saying that, oh, I'm not doing it for the money. But before you got where you was at, you was doing it for the money. That was like one of your biggest goals to achieve is the money part of it. Because you know if you get the money part, you'll be able to relax more and kind of focus on your craft. You know what I mean? So like I said, but when you spend at a rate like that, you know what I mean? I remember one time he was on an interview, I don't know if it was with Stephen A, talk about how he got 20 Rolls Royces or some shit like that. It's like, come on, man. Like when you add all that shit up, come on, man. You talking about 10 million alone type shit, 18 million alone on cars. It's like that shit just be dumb, but a fool and his money will soon part. You know what I mean? Especially when you worship money and that's just basically what you care about for real. You make that your number one priority. You know what I mean? And then from what I'm hearing, he ain't got Al Heyman in his corner no more, and which is a guy who played a pivotal role as far as in his life or whatever, and probably used to make sure, you know, like had the right people around him to look after him as far as watching his assets and shit like that. And it's kind of like the 50 Cent effect, like when 50 took away, you know what I mean, kind of like told them they need to get their own managers type shit. If you notice Young Buck, it seemed like he just started having problems, financial problems, just all type of bullshit come his way or whatever, you know what I mean? And Floyd with Al Heyman had that same level of comfort, I guess. And, you know, from what I'm hearing, he's not around no more. And at one time, Floyd did, when he was suing, I don't know if it was Showtime or one of them, in the lawsuit, he said Al Heyman name at first, but then in another interview, he recanted and tried to make it seem like it was just Showtime. Like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't say Al Heyman name that time. But me personally, man, like, when you in a situation like Floyd, you really can't never feel bad for him because you worked hard, you got it the honest way and all of that shit as far as, you know what I mean, your finances and shit like that. But once you've touched and ran through all that type of paper, man, like you can't feel bad for somebody because it's like you abused your blessing. You know what I mean? It like people act like they can't abuse their blessing. Like if you get blessed and you don't take advantage of it and you start just, you know, just going way overboard with the shit. You know what I mean? Like at some point, what you think gonna happen? Because your mind's so distorted and clouded on materialism shit that you lost track of who you are as a human being. You know what I mean? So, like I say, he ain't the only one. A lot of boxers normally do have financial issues. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them is illiterate. You know what I mean? Like they good with these. You know what I mean? But here, you know what I mean? It's only a chosen few that can think and who know the business as far as, you know what I mean? Like knowing the business and shit. But to me, it's not shocking to me. You know what I mean? And then they tell us he already done took the upfront money, the loan for this shit right here, for Netflix and all of that. And then, you know, but all of this shit just be rumors. You know what I mean? Like I say, Tribe Gang TV won't hop on shit right away. You know what I mean? Like we'll investigate it a little bit and see if it's legit type shit. You know what I mean? Or whatever. And then go from there. But like, he already done took the upfront loan, you know what I mean? And Pacquiao blatantly put it out there, you know what I mean? He don't do exhibitions. Like, he do the real thing, you know what I mean? So, and then they saying that Floyd is getting countersued because of he's saying exhibition, and they like, no, we signed you up for the real shit. And then he seemed like he got a problem with it. And it's like, how you gotta, one thing about it, like if you need paper, you know what I mean? And you in dire straits of need, you got bills on top of bills type shit. And the whole lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like at this moment, you can't say what is an exhibition, especially if it doesn't say that in the paperwork that this is an exhibition. You know what I mean? Meaning like, because I watch how he be talking and shit. Like, it's like, you will fight him. You ain't scared if it's an exhibition, but if it's a real fight, you know, you really got to get back in that lab, train all that playing shit you've been doing that we see reels of you pop, tagging your sparring partner, playing around, all that. You know, you got to lock in. And then, like Manny Pacquiao said too, that first fight, he had a shoulder problem. So he wasn't able to really beat him all like that. You know what I mean? So I read the comments and shit like that. A lot of people said that Floyd didn't read the contract, and then they said because he's illiterate, he can't read. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's just sad because like when you older like that, I'm pretty sure when he was like 25, you know what I mean? Like he got his own little promotion and shit like that. Like I ain't trying to say he ain't probably achieve and do things that he said he was going, you know, that he had set from when he was 25 as far as his own promotion, having fighters under his shit. You know what I mean? He started out doing real good. I think he had Tank and that I forgot how to say that dude's name. Theono Lopez, the dude who Adrian Broner spanked his ass. Like, I'm talking about, like, got him up out of there. You know what I mean? After that, Broner continued to go back downhill. But he put Tank on as far as, well, AB discovered Tank. And AB brought Tank to Mayweather, you know what I mean? And they blossomed, you know what I mean? So now, look, Tank doing his own thing. He his own boss, you know what I mean? He just got to get his shit together as far as, his life outside of boxing. But Mayweather is not shocking, you know what I mean? Like, he loves to spend money, you know what I mean? And when you love to spend money, sometimes you could spend money faster than the money that's coming in, you know what I mean? Especially if you somebody like him, you know what I mean? Like I said, you basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, you in debt. It's like you getting money from this, and that, but it's like you ain't really holding on to it like that because either you got bills you got to pay or you owe. You know what I mean? And like I say, you got over 100 cars, millions in jewelry, all type of watches and all type of shit or whatever. You know what I mean? And a lot of material shit. And once you start seeing material shit get stripped away from somebody, it's pretty much the beginning of the end. You know what I mean? And then, like I say, taxes, all type of shit, man. Life is not cheap. You know what I mean? Especially when you make it expensive. You know what I mean? Life already itself is expensive, but when you make it even more expensive, you know what I mean? And then some shit hit the fan and you really can't recoup this shit. You know what I mean? Shit just going on. I mean, it's recipe for disaster, man. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. So, Floyd, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna say we rooting for you because, like I say, you've been overly blessed. You know what I mean? And hopefully this shit just a rumor, but they've been saying Floyd been broke a long time as far as, you know what I mean? Every 6 months, it seemed like a blogger coming out. And then, Oscar De La Hoya, he be on that shit. Him, Dana, Joe Rogan, they gonna talk about it and all that shit or whatever. And that's why a lot of people fuck with Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford, he's not materialistic as far as where, you know what I mean, he got to be showing off all the time and shit like that. You know what I mean? What's up, family? You know what I mean? Coming to the gym, you coming to train, you pulling up in a Maybach. You know what I mean? Terrence Crawford ain't like that. You heard what he told Shannon on Club Shay say? His little goddamn truck, he'll chain Shannon shit up and drag his shit all the way around. Like, like Terrence, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, being the way he is, being so humble because you're not flashing and showing off to entertain the people can, you know what I mean, have its effects for people feel like, they don't acknowledge you, or, you know what I mean, or they don't notice you until you whoop Earl Spence ass, because he been whooping ass and taking names, you know what I mean? But a lot of people fell in love with him after what he did to Spence, because truth be told, a lot of people was rooting against him. Spence had a lot of meat eaters, you know what I mean? For real, he did. And once he did that, and then whooped old boy, it was a wrap. You know what I mean? Now his destiny is in his own hands. You don't have a financial issue all like that as far as spending major money on shit or whatever. He take care of his family. He do what he's supposed to do. He live within his means. He is what you call a smart guy. You know what I mean? Thinking long term. Money ain't gonna last you long term if you spending fast, dog. Like, it don't work like that. You know what I mean? Some people, now I ain't gonna lie, like, if you had money like that or some shit and you owned a few gas stations and shit like that, like I say, we don't never truly know what these people got their money into. But, like, something damn near like a Chick-fil-A, something that, like, always profit type shit or whatever the fuck, then maybe you can spend money. But, like, even then, why would you want to spend money at a large rate like that? Like, it's fucking out of hand. Like, I remember one time he was on live, I don't know if it was Bangkok or some shit, Hong Kong, and he was over there looking at properties and shit, you know what I mean? And just because the nigga say he bought some shit or finna do it, that don't mean he did it. But it's like, you just bought an $18 million watch, like, which was stupid. Like, out of all the dudes who Jacob probably showed that watch to, your dumb ass was the one who bought the shit. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you can't feel bad for somebody who spent money at a rate like Mayweather. You know what I mean? So let's see how this shit play out. You know what I mean? Like, because in Manny Pacquiao eyes, this ain't no exhibition. This the real deal. And I'm finna try to knock your ass out because the first time we fought, I had a shoulder injury and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I really couldn't, you know what I mean, do my thing to you. But now he like, nigga, this the real deal. And it's like Floyd trying to take a cop-out route. Like, nah, this is an exhibition. Like, this ain't the real deal. Like, you preparing yourself in case you get your ass laid out. Like, it's not going to go on your record. Well, that ain't what Netflix and all of them saying. So, and right now, you know what I mean? You go on YouTube pages, you know what I mean? You see shit was like calling him scammer and, you know what I mean? And just all type of shit. But like I say, man, when you flaunt your wealth and cap so hard as he do, when you get in situations, you know what I mean? People gonna want to, just like they really want to see you lose, they want to see you go downhill. You know what I mean? Because you've thrown that shit in so many people's faces for years. Could you imagine how many boxers who really was, when boxing was boxing, you know what I mean, who see somebody like Floyd and they know they put in just as much hard as work as he did and they financially don't have it like that, you know what I mean? And you see somebody spending money reckless as fuck, you know what I mean? Like no respect for it. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna like his ass neither. You're gonna be like, damn, man, like they wasn't paying, there wasn't no opportunities like that, you know what I mean? Like different networks and companies offering hella money, you feel me? But he has that opportunity and, you know what I mean? He took advantage of the shit, you know what I mean? Like, so money made, let's see how this shit play out. You know what I mean? Hopefully shit work out for him. If it don't, I don't care because like I say, once you get blessed, man, and you able to make money legally, you know what I mean? And you don't have the right team around you or you just not thinking, you trying to showcase and showboat and sit courtside, just all the showboating shit that Instagram love, you know what I mean? Whatever happens, happens, you know what I mean? We as the people don't feel bad, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna never put a comment on that saying shake back, nigga, you was overly blessed, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? You gotta accept with what comes with it and shit like that. But y'all already know. Testosterone booster, that tribalist effect, you know what I mean? Take 2 a day. It's enough in here to last you 30 days, you know what I mean? That booster, sexually, you know what I mean? Energetic. It's a dietary supplement, you know what I mean? So it's very healthy for you, you know what I mean? You ain't got to worry about no pissing dirty, just all type of weird, crazy shit, you know what I mean? Or whatever. This ain't pink horsepower. My shit has a label. You can read it, all that shit or whatever. But share this video, like, comment, subscribe. Like I say, y'all see the description. Floyd Mayweather. To him, it's an exhibition, but the Pacquiao, Showtime on Netflix and everybody else, this shit is a real fight. So hopefully Floyd, you know, they say he illiterate, can't read, but I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. He figured this shit out or whatever. But y'all already know. Till next time, tap in, Try Game TV. We out.